The Survivor Specialist Phil and Blake are back, and today we have our episode 3 predictions and power rankings for Survivor 49, and Blake is about to be beaten down to size because we have the winner of Survivor 47, the most boring, stupidest person I've ever seen cast on Survivor. I don't even know why they'd put a graphic designer, a UX designer, whatever it is. Rachel LaMont is here. And Rachel, what were you doing before this podcast, you said?
Oh, I was re-listening to everything that Blake was saying about me preseason. And, I was wondering, Blake, you said, you are a casting expert, and you were saying that maybe you were going to win an Emmy and then you could be an award-winning casting expert. Did you win that Emmy?
Oh, no, it went to Love on the Spectrum, actually. So didn't quite get over to us.
You said that because you're an expert and maybe an award-winning expert, that you knew I wasn't going to make the merge. So
truly,
you didn't win the Emmy and I did make the merge. I don't know, Blake, not looking good.
And you're plus $1 million and I'm minus basically that right now too. So my life could not be getting worse. Hopefully this is the turning point. Whatever karma happens to me, I rolled my ankle beyond belief yesterday as well, so I can't even walk at this point. So hopefully this is the hour and a half or so that is the worst of my life, and I can pick myself up after this.
We have
nice to meet you.
we have Austin Garso in the comments here in the chat. He is the one who makes all of our images, our backgrounds.
Would you call him a graphic designer, Phil?
You would, right?
Whoa.
And so he says, get him, Rachel. He's been texting, waiting for this one for
Blake,
a while.
Do you hate Austin too?
Okay, so as someone who hasn't had a job recently, I've realized that all jobs are important and necessary to keep the world moving. And maybe if I had, I think it's more jealousy of I didn't get to sit at my computer and work creatively, and I think that was just misplaced, But I think in a group of 100 people, when we're telling about our jobs, and you go, I'm a graphic designer, maybe there's 30 other jobs that it's like, okay, let's hear from them real quick, and we'll get back.
Totally valid. Didn't hurt me though.
Right. Spatial awareness did work out in challenges.
Isn't that crazy, huh? There's a lot of puzzles on Survivor, and as we would have it, Rachel is making a puzzle game that goes live on Tuesdays. So I don't know, Blake. I think you might have underestimated Rachel. And okay. Rachel, my question:
how many people did that? Like everybody underestimated
That's the space
Rachel.
I occupy. It's good,
Yeah, I will say that I remember my first guest that season was Liz for predictions and power rankings. And she put you next to last, I think, because she was worried about how you handled Andy the morning after. She put Tiana at last because I think Tiana had taken shots at her. And Liz was like, screw that, she's last. And then you were 16 because of how you handled Andy. And I remember sitting there being like, but look at all this screen time Rachel's getting despite being irrelevant. And I had to do some protecting here early on. No, you weren't relevant to that story in episode 1. That's what I'm saying. So I felt like things were going well. But yeah, the underestimating, I remember early on, people thought Annika and Rachel, bye. And then here you were winning $1 million. Pretty good place to be in, huh?
Not bad.
Not bad. So what is it like?
Did you get the check yet, by the way?
Oh, God, I hope so.
I know some people were like, do they ever get the check on time? But that was for the show that I worked on. So
yeah, no, Survivor
I know Survivor's
finale night, everyone's bank accounts got hit. I had to wait because I wanted the physical check, so I had to wait a little bit. But everybody else was like, "Oh my God," showing their phone deposits.
How was the kerning on your check for $1 million?
I'm surprised you know what kerning is, Blake.
Whoa! Hey! I maybe don't respect designers, but I know how stuff works.
I literally had to look that up. I don't even know.
No. Kerning is the space between the letters, and it could completely throw off your design.
Oh, there you go. All right, so here's my question. Finally, when you're hearing that, you know what happened, right? When you're hearing stuff like that, because I know all you Survivor players go out and you listen to podcasts and you want to hear what's going on preseason, especially. I know that's when people are most amped because it's fresh and it's raw. When you're listening to that, what are you thinking to yourself? And how hard is it to just sit there and like bite your tongue and just smile?
Oh, I mean, I was laughing. Like, I'm not, as much as I'm, giving Blake a hard time. It's a fun thing. It's also fun when you know that he's so freaking wrong. My thought was probably something like, I can't wait to go on The Specialist next season and roast Blake. So, it's not, I think obviously if I had been, like the first boot and Blake had shit all over me, it would have felt a little different, but it was, a little easier from where I'm sitting. So
it's fun where that happens, because I know Blake always likes to come out with his hot takes. And look, we got to have hot takes. Otherwise, what's the point of the podcast, right? But it's like he comes out with his hot takes. And I know last year it was that Joe was going to win 97.4% chance or whatever. And there were players from 48, I'm sorry, who didn't interact with us. I don't think really even particularly liked us, who are liking every time I say Blake says it's going to be 97.4% Joe, because they're probably so happy knowing Blake's about to be so wrong. And that's the joy we're going to get. That's the win, Blake. So
I think there's also this level of, when you're listening to this preseason coverage, especially when you listen to a lot of it, there's just no basis for having any idea, right? Everyone is just, it's rampant speculation. And I think that also helps when it's like someone that's like, oh yeah, this person's going to win because they do this or whatever, said that. And another person is like, first boot, like sucks. And it's just kind of, I think preseason is actually the most fun, I think, because none of the actual stuff has started coming. The fans don't actually have anything credible to say. And I think that's the easiest, lightest part of the whole thing. So,
and to be 100%, I'm not setting myself up like, come on, guys. I was kind of right, because I'm not, but like in that, hey, here's the 18 people of 47. There's some high energy clips from some people. There's some annoying clips from some people. There's some very confident clips from some people. And for some reason, your clip, they put a low energy thing. And you're just like, why are they doing that? And is it like, are they thinking it through? Because CBS is thinking, probably not. And so it is kind of if it is a low energy clip, are they hiding the winner, or is this a low energy person? Like, what is the more logical way to go with that? And in that year, I was also the person who won Big Brother. I was like, they will be gone within the first 2 weeks. So that part of my life was the worst I've ever done in assessing a cast.
Who's your winner pick this season?
I picked Savannah for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. Blake's going with the these people might be playing a season soon, and he's just taking that approach. So
yeah.
If I can get a win handed to me from whatever possibility of a 50-50 thing, then I'll take it.
You want to know his second pick, Rachel?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this person is going to be long-lived for the game. Lived is in there. Jake was his second pick.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
We do. Yeah. Jake, who is alive, as far as I know. So
be weird if it was like somebody posting for him post-mortem.
Yeah, like... right. Weekend at Bernie's, they're just carrying around the body because he's places. Like he's been places. But I'm going to say this now. So if you're listening, here's a warning to you, and if you want to get out, chance, because CBS put out a new promo for this episode. Jake is being medevaced from the season. There's really no way he is not being medevaced from the season. We see a bunch of people out there. We see Jeremiah and Sophie and Alex all hugging each other and crying. We see a stretcher being pulled, and that means somebody is on it. And considering somebody got bit by a snake, or at least that's what they told us last week. And considering Will went through it on the recap episode, he was saying that it's very specific places where they bite you that they could actually get the venom in you. But it is one of the most venomous snakes. Based on all that, I'm 99.99999% sure we are about to watch Jake leave this game on Wednesday night. So, Blake, I guess you kind of get a little bit of an asterisk next to this one as your second pick. But, it's still, if he goes out, he finishes 16th place with Rachel. How many places better were you than 16th place?
I don't know,
I don't think we can even do that math right now, to be honest.
It'll take us half the episode. Blake's it takes a while to get these concepts through his brain.
Exactly. Yeah, Blake also thinks mathematicians aren't good either. So
I was on the math team, but boy, did I get out of it in college as quickly as possible. As long as you can gamify something, I'm down. But like maybe hex codes of colors, if they did a competition on ESPN for that, I would tune in. But
okay, I like how much you like graphic design when you hate graphic designers.
Blake was Googling before this to prep for this episode.
Graphic design terms.
Yeah, exactly. Keywords.
ChatGPT, how do I talk?
Oh no, we're so anti AI on this. We don't even. Like Allen Iverson. I don't know where to go with that.
Oh man, yeah, we'll stop there. So Rachel, I know you've been a fan for a long time. I know you've obviously been a part of the community for even longer than when you just played. But
sure.
When you see these kinds of promos and these kinds of things, and you hear a potential medevac, all of that, how do you feel? How does that sit with you now, especially that you've played?
Yeah, well, it's a bummer, right? I think that I feel like there's so many ways to tease this. I think the Next Time on Survivor did it well, where it's like, did he get bit? He said he got the snake latched onto him. What does that mean? Did it like grab his shirt? I think that we don't have to be so overt in exposing the spoiler. Like, people don't want to be spoiled. And I think especially when it's coming in the form of like an ad for next week, like you're not going to even be able to avoid that, and intentionally. It's not like a sneak peek or something. And so it just feels a little odd to me. I feel bad for Jake. I think that that's probably not how he wanted. Maybe it's a relief because everyone kind of knows ahead of time, but I'm not sure. I don't really understand the purpose, because they've definitely teased medevacs before that didn't come to pass, or teased them in ways that you weren't sure if it was going to happen. I think like the Randon medevac was sort of like that, where it was like, oh, I can't feel my shoulder, but that doesn't mean that he's going home, and so I think that there's just other ways to do it. I'm not sure why they chose to show that, but not my favorite.
It's such a bummer, because I even think about Matthew in 44. There was a long time and a buildup to him actually being eventually pulled from the game. It felt like he was going to stick around for a lot longer, and he made it a couple episodes after his fall.
Right.
And then he gets pulled, and he still got pulled, but it was still kind of that up in the air. Is it going to happen? Is it not? Yeah. Whereas what also sucks about this is they really have made Jake and Alex have been the stars of the season, in my opinion, thus far, because that tribe is going to tribal all the time. They lead in confessionals. Jake's hiding the shoes. Jake and Alex are doing handstands in the water. They have this.
The snake bites him when he goes to grab a shoe.
That could be it. That's what the problem is here. But it bums me out, because this in a cast where obviously there's, what's going on with season 50, we've talked a lot about who the people from the season on 50 are. So it's not like it's a secret, but when you see Rizzo, you see Savannah playing the game, you see, okay, they're there. This is fun. Like, I'm seeing part of them, but they aren't the stars of this season right now. It is Alex and Jake, and to lose one of those players here because of this situation. Look, I'm not saying when somebody gets medevac, give them no edit. It just is a bummer that this is somebody who people are really connecting to. I know my parents are like, oh, this Jake guy, thank God for him, huh? And I'm like, yes, I like Jake, and I want to see what's going to happen with Jake. And it's a bummer to see him go out this way, because he feels so integral to what's happening on the disaster tribe.
Yeah, I agree. But also, because they've gone to tribal twice, like, how do they hide that? I think that he is the glue on that tribe, and they clearly, like him as a character. And so they have to, in the way they made John Lovett, you got to use them while you have them, to some degree. And I think that it makes sense. And to me, it's almost like, even if we just had the Next Time on Survivor and they didn't do anything else, I think it would be so shocking to watch this play out when you're not expecting it. To be like, oh my God, he really did get bit, and this is an emergency, and he's going to leave right now. I think that would hit so much harder. And I know, I don't know, like, you probably know more than I do. Like, genuinely, I'm not making fun of you, about whether, like, how much, you want to promote the big thing that happens next week, you know, to get people's attention versus like letting it play out in a way in the moment that feels really exciting.
Yeah, and Blake, I'll let you jump in on this in a sec, but I just want to say the ratings on the premiere were not good. And then it obviously jumped up with DVR and all that. And they were saying it's the biggest jump we've ever had, but that's also because the ratings on the premiere were so bad.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I saw that, but I didn't know the context of
it. Was the lowest, it was a 15% drop year over year from your premiere to this premiere. It was a 15% drop in terms of live viewers. It went from like 4.79 to 4.03. So it was a big drop from one premiere in the fall to the next premiere in the fall. And then it got the big jump, but when you do 138% increase or whatever it was from your lowest number, that's not really what you're looking for. And I do sit here and say NFL Sunday, people are going to be locked in. They're going to be watching all day. If you haven't watched this season and you don't know the context because you didn't watch episode 2, this might catch your attention of, ooh, I just watched that guy smash that guy so hard with their helmets. Now I can go watch this guy get pulled from this game. Like, let me see what this is going to be. And so I do think that there is a serious amount of thought going into ratings right now. And, you know, while it annoys us, we're going to watch no matter what. But to a casual person who hasn't watched Survivor in years, this might be the kind of thing that grabs their attention.
I do think, based on what we know about Survivor from 25 years, it's like this is a moment that has not happened. So when we're 49 seasons in, we do have to, is it the word milk? Is it the word get every juice out of it? Or like, it sucks that one of our main characters is probably leaving on a stretcher, because you did see that in the thing. But like, somebody fell in a fire, somebody got their back jostled on a boat and was removed, somebody ate too much barbecue. Like, those aren't as exciting as a snake bite. And I think, like, Rachel, you've been to Fiji, I think. Like, what do they tell you about the snakes whenever you get there? Is it like, did you see these snakes at all in your tenure?
It's interesting. So they are, I think, one of the most, they are, I won't speak for the world because I don't know, but they are the most venomous thing in Fiji. I think it's a banded sea crate is what they're called. And definitely warned about them. We're told that they're extremely docile. They almost never attack unless you step on them or, like, you know, do something to essentially provoke them. And the first time that Gata got into the water, after the mud challenge, the marooning challenge, we waded into the water and Andy goes, "That's one of those snakes." And we got out and we went down the beach and we got back in. And that's the only time we saw one, the whole time we were there. But
so not zero, but not 50
zero.
Times. Okay.
Yeah, I think that, you know, he probably steps on it or does something, you know, I don't know.
Mid headstand falls on it. I don't know. Okay, so Jake, I think this is, we're not joking about Jake's life. I'm joking about Jake's character on the show.
We also know he's okay, y'all.
We also know he's okay.
Unless it is the Weekend at Bernie's thing, like we were talking about.
So I'm hoping Jake from now on, as somebody whose name also rhymes with snake and went to elementary school, like, Jake and snake is going to be associated for the rest of his life. He's going to answer these questions for the next 30 years. This is what, like, his kid will see, his dad will see one last time. Like, I think this will be a not funny story, but an interesting story. Like, when I went on Survivor, and then if he's up for it, I'm sure he'll be on season 57 or something when there is time for someone to come back.
Yeah, they clearly love him, right? Like, so, right. Yeah.
And now you have Matthew, him, and Randon. I know Randon out of that group has the smallest confessional count and really screen time.
And Kevin. Oh, no, he got voted out. Sorry.
Kevin got voted out. Yeah, Kevin hurt himself, but he,
yeah.
It like, you could do a Philippines type situation again if you wanted to. And clearly they've been willing to bring people back, because when Bruce gets medevaced, Bruce comes back right away. And Matthew, they gave a really big edit to. Matthew was one of the stars of 44. And in my opinion, when he goes home, it's why 44 really kind of takes a beating in the post-merge.
Yeah, all that stuff with Jamie for nothing. Like, it was that was rough. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no conclusion to the storyline. And I get, when it's reality TV, if it happens, it happens. There might not be a conclusion to the storyline. Somebody brought up Colton's from earlier. We're doing One World over on the Patreon because we're doing Every Season Matters. So we're doing them in order, Rachel. We're not choosing to do One World. It just happened to come up.
I see.
And so when you watch Colton's, though, it's like you were talking about earlier, it is they tease it, but you don't know it's coming. But then when Colton goes, you go, what is the rest of the season now? There's no, I don't like Colton, but in terms of from a TV perspective, they gave him so much screen time. He was the whole pre-merge. When he goes home, you're sitting there going, okay, who are the 13 people that are left in this game? I still don't know 8 of them, and I've now watched One World 3 times. So it's tough. But so I think it's safe to assume we're all going to be putting Jake at 16. Normally we start at the top with these rankings.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I feel like to try to go a different route would almost be.
Well, Blake likes to go against the grain, so maybe
he does.
Yeah.
He tries to be a trendsetter,
Jake
but nobody wanted to hear it.
And actually wins the game because he doesn't have to be on 49 anymore, and he can go about his life and enjoy his new kid. I do think Jake Latimer is probably going home on Wednesday, and it is kind of devastating. I think most people. I think I kind of said something last Thursday about. Oh, that's only like 2 days ago. It was like, oh, the shoe bandit. I don't really like this. Why are they doing this? It makes sense. It's kind of like trust the process because you have been watching this for 49 years. Like they are showing this much because this is the content we have of him, and we need to get all of Jake's content in now because there's not going to be payoffs later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if Jake goes, look, if 50 wasn't such a monumental season, I think they probably would have put him on that season, to be totally honest. I think they would have brought him back as soon as they could. But with that being such a monumental season, and as of right now, the lowest placement is 8th, they're trying not to, they clearly had in their mind, we're not going to bring back Say, we're not going to bring back people who didn't make it.
We're not going to bring back Brandon Donlin.
Yeah, which we're all, I mean, Brandon's great. We all want Brandon. Blake is saying that sincerely, Rachel. That's what's actually crazy. You can't tell when he's sincere. Or
I can't. I really can't.
What's funny is when you're talking about Medivacs, I'm like in my mind trying to get Brandon Donlin in that of like his ego was bruised and never had a shot. Like maybe Hannah Rose and him can be a captain or something.
Hannah Rose as a captain, a returning captain would be.
That would be a choice. That's for sure. But anyway, I don't remember where I was going with this because I got so distracted by Brandon Donlin. But I do feel like, it's 8th place. 16th, they wanted to go with a certain placement, and 16th, they're just not going to bring that back, especially for such a big season. And we saw this in Game
still
Changer.
Recovering too. Like
he looks jacked. He looks all right.
If you got bit by a snake and you had to like relearn how to walk or something last summer, you're not like. Get me on right away. Like the 50 happened like 3 weeks later, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. And you figure they did this for Caleb back in 34, and he was kind of a bust. And you can't afford to have a bust on 50 when you're taking that much of a chance. So I think Jake will be back again if he is in fact medevac. Maybe we get thrown. Maybe we're being thrown for a loop here, and maybe somebody else is getting pulled from the game, and we're just shocked. I don't know.
What if it's Alex and I'm Blake? But you said he was crying. Yeah.
Alex is crying with Jeremiah and Sophie hugging. So maybe I don't know.
What if
crying, Jake isn't crying that Alex is being medevac? Maybe that's what's happening.
What if it's Jeff that gets bit by a snake and Rome is the host, and we're
mm-hmm.
And just like that, Blake is back on Rachel's good side. Okay. So for the rest of this, then. We're going to be ranking 1 to 15. We're going to kind of go under the assumption that there's a second boot, right? Otherwise, there's really no reason to do power rankings. So we're going to at least try to play this out as if there's going to be a second person. Right. So, Rachel, Jake gets medevaced before the challenge. Who would you think is probably going to lose the challenge? And this is not meant to be as leading as it sounds. Just who do you think is going to lose?
Yeah, well... So I think Hina is like the new Reba, the new Nami. I think that the fact that they had that huge disadvantage and still came back to get first place in that challenge means they're pretty freaking stacked. And that's probably due to having 2 alternates. Who knows what the other players were supposed to like be, physicality, intelligence, whatever. But it feels like a Reba situation where they get Austin on top of all these other power people and now they're unstoppable. So short of a swap, I don't know that we're going to see Hina go to tribal anytime soon. So I feel like, it feels like the tribe that doesn't have any resources, that is down in morale, that just potentially lost their strongest guy. Very, very possible that, and they are not good at puzzles by their own admission. Probably not looking great for them again, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's where I think that when people talk about the new era, this is what gets frustrating. And this is out of production's hands,
right?
That Jacob is getting bit by a snake. But I do think this is one of the frustrations people have is we always tend to have one tribe that's just a disaster. Like there always seems to be one in this 3-tribe setup. And then by the time the swap comes, it's already too late for one of those tribes. If Jake goes and this tribe loses, they're down to 2 people in 3 episodes. That is another. I don't think we've ever seen that in Survivor history with these 3-tribe starts. I don't think we've ever seen a tribe go down to 2 in 3 episodes. We've seen plenty go down to 2, but not this fast.
Yeah. I don't know how long it took Ua to get there in 41, but yeah, it's usually prolonged a little bit more than this.
Vochi going home kept it from being
right,
all of them in a row, because it actually looked like the yellow tribe was going to be the disaster tribe in 41, and then green fell apart.
Yeah.
That. So yeah, we're going to start from the top, but I just kind of wanted to preface with that because I feel like we're going to kind of be in a similar alignment here. But Rachel, who you going with at number 1?
Well, I got to go with Alex. I feel like even if this tribe goes to tribal, he has an idol, which no one else has. And I think he will play, like, presumably, if it is Alex, Jeremiah, Sophie, and Jeremiah and Sophie are tight, and even if they want to get him out, he will play his idol. Like, they will be forced to cannibalize each other or try to vote and convince him, trick him, and he will play it. I would find it very hard to believe that he loses his number 1, knows that him and Sophie aren't the tightest, and doesn't. So that's my guess.
And I think it's the fact of him losing his number 1. If he lost Jeremiah, Sophie and Jake might be able to pull something on him because he feels really good with both of them. But to lose Jake, why would he ever?
Yeah, your foundation, and they know about his idol. So it's like, there's no, there's no reason not to play it. It just feels, it would just be really, really irresponsible to try and save it.
My question then would be, do you think that he could convince somebody to play with him and say, let's keep this idol because now we're down to 2 people. There's going to be a swap. Let's try to keep this idol in play. Do you think he could convince that? Or do you think the people would be paranoid that, well, what happens if there's a tribe of 2 and you have an idol?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think we know the dynamics of Sophie and Alex other than they're kind of jealous of each other because of Jake. And then I have no idea what Jeremiah and Alex's relationship is. I don't know if I've missed that, but I don't know if we've had any time where the 2 of them are alone talking. So it's really hard to say if either of them would be open to going with Alex over the other. But to me, we've seen Sophie and Jeremiah bond, and I think both of them seem very self-preservation players that will be like, come on, Alex, like, let's just go. I think that they will try. So maybe he'll save it. I don't know. I'm like talking in circles here, but I could see it go either way where they're like, we're tight, but then they know he's got an idol. So you can't just assume he's not going to play it. So you have to turn on the other person. It's sort of, what do you think? What do you think?
I think that the way this is going to go based on what we've seen is it'll be Sophie and Alex who survive this.
Yeah.
I think Sophie is game savvy enough to say, hey, what if we need this idol? We're not going to go to a 2-person tribal council. They're not going to let us do that. Survivor doesn't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they had the story of Stephanie once. They've never done it again since. If you get down to 2 people, they always split that tribe up. I think that Sophie might try to say to Alex, I'll go with you. You don't have to play your idol. Let's vote out Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Because with Jake not being there, Sophie's biggest concern with Alex was that Jake and Alex were closer and that would hurt her. So she needed number 1 in Jeremiah. With Jake gone, now Alex can be her number 1. She doesn't need Jeremiah.
You're totally right. And we saw last episode Jeremiah say, like, I'm always the last one to find out things in this 4. Like, I know I'm at the bottom. And so I think that probably is where he is. And I think Sophie is probably closer to Alex than she is to Jeremiah. She just is out of desperation, has to have like a secondary number 1 in case Jake goes with Alex kind of situation. Yeah.
Speaking of Alex's idol.
Yeah.
Speaking of Alex's idol that you talked about, did you appreciate that back in your day, the Beware advantage could be seen as a ball and chain, and Survivor threw the subtext out and just made the Beware thing an actual ball and chain.
Yeah, that was very funny. I like how he was like, what are we gonna do? We can't do anything. Yeah, it is interesting how season to season, as one of the things that they have kind of switched around is how much can you get away with keeping a Beware advantage secret? Like certain people's, like Tiffany's on 46, like was a cipher. Like you could do that yourself. The ones last year with the codex things, like also reasonably could have been done solo. But then you have things like this, like Sam's with like 800 knots that, you know, short of getting up in the middle of the night and doing it all night in the dark, which I don't even know if you could find it in the dark, like it would have been so difficult. So that is one of the only things with the Be Aware advantages that seems to kind of like really shift is this something that I'm basically forced to tell people, or is it something that I could try and keep secret?
Yeah, and it's funny, like it's almost like they watched 46 and didn't want people going home with the idols. They want the idols played because since 46, it's become a lot more in your face of what goes into making it, getting an idol. Even last season, they had the codex, but all of the symbols are on the trees all around camp. So everybody's seeing it. Everybody's aware. And even though I think 46 was awesome watching blindside after blindside after blindside after blindside with people with idols in their pocket, I might not have done enough after blindsides on that because I think it was 5 in a row or something. Yeah. When you watch 5 of those happen, it's almost like Survivor said, okay, that was fun. Let's make sure the idols are known though and get played so people aren't just going home with idols all the time, because we have seen a massive changing and you can't get away with the ball and chain dragging that around. Like you can't get away with that. There's no way.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to be boring. I also have Alex at 1. So I'll just say that I have nothing to add to Rachel's statement. I just think he has an idol and he's not going to get voted out with the idol. I think that somebody would actually try to work with him. Jeremiah and Sophie aren't tight enough. And from what the edit is showing me, Jeremiah has very much been the 4th and he will be the 3rd. And unfortunately for Jeremiah, this is a terrible way to go if you're Jeremiah. Like that's just bad luck across the board. But yeah, I think he'll go here.
Yeah, he put himself in a pretty good position. So it's a big bummer.
Blake, are you going to make it 3 for 3?
I guess I should have watched one of these beforehand. You put Alex at number 1 because he has no shot at going home in any permutation. But in my mind, that would be Savannah. Of like, she could not be more in the power structure of her tribe. And yes, maybe they could probably lose to yellow, but I don't see them losing to blue if Jake goes home. But like, I don't know if that's not how power rankings work. Like you haven't.
Well, I don't know. It's such a bad. I had the same thing where I just said, "Is Hina never going to lose?" In that case, I should have all yellow players at the top.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's just kind of. I tried to stack rank like in case Hina loses, this is who I think would go home, but I don't know either. I mean, Phil, it's your show. Tell us.
And like, literally what I'd have to say, like the only way Savannah could go home is if she got bit by a snake, and like that's happening to somebody. So like you can't be saying that kind of stuff. But mine is Savannah at number 1.
And Rachel, to answer your question, like I said, I had Liz on here and she put Tiana at 17 because Tiana took a shot at her. So it's like whatever your reasoning is, that's your reasoning. You rank however you want to rank.
It's like the jury. We just get to go for whatever.
Just do what you want. Which man, why did Andy have to do that to poor Mike Holloway? Like Mike and Ben, what did they do to Andy? My God. I called him out on that last season too. I'm like, poor Mike and Ben, they're not even here. Come on, man. Anyway. So who do you have at number 2, Rachel?
I have Steven. I do think that Hina will not lose anytime soon. And I think if they do, Steven is the only person on yellow we know anything about. So I highly doubt he's the one going home. He seems like he's in the middle of that 4 with Christina, Matt, and MC. And everybody seems to really like him. We had that montage. He was like, I mean, yellow is barely in the episode, but in the premiere, the only thing we saw of yellow was Steven going to every single person doing the like, I feel good about you, which is not always good. But then we would see immediately the other player going, I love Steven. I didn't think I'd like Steven. I love him, which is just reinforcing that he has a very good social connection. Like he is the centerpiece of this tribe. So that's my It's my number 2.
What are you reading into the other part of that episode 1 edit where he suddenly got paranoid and said, what if people don't like me as much as I like them? What are you reading into that?
Yeah, I didn't love that. I think that I get that sometimes it's too good and you feel like maybe it's fake, but you're on a winning tribe. Like you won't, yeah. I think it's just, you're always going, I'm hoping that that was just kind of like an offhanded, invasive thought that he said and they decided to show, because it just, that would be a huge bummer if he is genuinely the most well-connected and liked person on his tribe and his paranoia is what drives him to be voted out. Like that would be tragic. So I'm hoping it's a red herring.
Yeah. What's up, Lindsay from 43? How you doing? Because she did that to herself. She was really well connected on that Coco tribe and then just got so paranoid. They're like, all right, bye, Lindsay, you're out. So it's happened before, but I don't know. You're right. He is pretty much the only one we know anything about. So if he were to go, I would be a little floored. Blake, who do you have at number 2? This is probably going to blow our minds. I wonder if it starts with R. And
it's Nate. I switched it.
Did you?
Okay, because Nate is actually really impressing me a lot, because I feel like everything we thought about Cedric as like a disaster guy, but he has all the cards last time. Nate is the same dude right now of like said the perfect thing in the first episode to Savannah. It feels like they are not going to strategize unless Nate is next to them. They're going to be like, we got to wait for him. Come on in. Let's talk about this. I think he's so well connected, and it feels like he's not going to break a leg in a challenge. He is better at challenge. We haven't seen Jeff go like Nate falling behind. So it's like, okay, we got all the upside of last year's best strategic pre-merger with like no negatives so far. And it feels like every time we hear something from Nate, it's like fully confident. This is easy for me. I'm super excited where I'm going to go further. So I'm thinking that these are all setting up storylines that are going to get actually paid off.
That's interesting. I have Nate quite a bit lower. So I like that take though.
Yeah, Nate, I have a little bit lower, mainly because of just how I feel about the rest of. There's 3 people from Red that I just feel better about.
I agree.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that I don't feel good about Nate. I know Blake's doing this on the fly because he was going to come out here and just go Savannah, Rizzo, Alex as his top 3, but he's trying to mix it up a little bit here.
He actually wanted to like put me at 18th, even though I'm not even on the season.
Yeah.
He was hoping you were on 50. He was hoping you were on 50 just so he could say, man, Rachel sucks again. Why is she here? Although I will admit that I came into season 48 saying, man, Camilla's just going to be, she's too small. Like, I don't think she's gonna be able to fit in. And then as I'm watching, I'm like, man, I'll never underestimate Camilla again. And then I see 50 come out and her name gets announced. I'm like, Camilla's screwed. She's got no shot. I'm like, so sometimes you just fall into that same trap twice. You can't help yourself. I have Rizzo at 2. He had a great first episode. He did nothing last episode, which I actually think is probably okay. Uli didn't go to tribal. So I'm feeling okay about where he is. He got such a big first episode and was clearly the focal point of that episode with him cheating at the puzzle and just, being Rizzo. I feel like it would be crazy for them to turn around and say, oh, by the way, Rizzo's now out of the game in episode number 3, when and you lose Rizzo and Jake in episode 3. You're talking 2 of the 3 people who got more than 10 confessionals in episode 1 are gone. That is not what the show wants right now. Although Asia had that happen to her, but still, that's not what the show wants. So I think that Rizzo is going to be totally safe, and there's a lot more to come from Uli. Even though I don't feel like Uli's as dominant as Hina, they don't really need to be right now because
if you have a disaster tribe, you just have to be better than them. Yeah,
exactly.
I think they're dominating story as well, where it's like, the Red tribe is the one to pay attention to. Are you getting it? Like some Dora the Explorer type shit from the editors. Like that was kind of fun to think about Yellow for a little bit, but are you ready to pay attention to all the end gamers? And you're like, okay, thank you.
Because even though Yellow's dominating, we've heard so little from them. I don't buy that they're going to be the biggest part of the season. Jason and Christina, we didn't hear from at all last week. And I was talking about how in season 48, I think it took 3 episodes before one person got a 0 in terms of confessional count. And we just had 2 in this episode. And I just think that's like crazy to happen so early on, especially when, there's so much screen time right now. There's not a lot of idle hunting going on. There's not reward challenges. There's plenty of time, but 2 people, nothing right off the bat. Rachel, who do you have at number 3?
I have Savannah. I think that she seems like kind of the core of Red. We hear from her a ton. And I think in that alliance of the Uli 4, that she is the most centralized person. She's close with Shannon. She's close with Nate. And it feels like she's close with Rizzo. Like, we see them talking a lot. They don't really talk about each other out of context, but it feels like the 4 of them are pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Nailed it. You should go on Survivor. That was great.
Yeah, everything on that Red tribe, even though Nate has had some good moments, everything goes back to Savannah. Every single time it's going back to Savannah. Where does Savannah feel about that? How does she feel about Jawan? She got the confessional about Jawan last week.
Mm-hmm.
He might buy himself an extra day or a couple days because of what he did. It's her getting that.
It's her POV on everything.
Yeah. So I like that. I don't have Savannah yet, but I do like that. Blake, you already had Savannah. Who do you have at 3?
Okay, I'm going to do my, Blake, is that really how it works? MC had the biggest display of power I have seen on the show in a long time. I did watch 6 or 7 seasons of American Ninja Warrior where they run up a ramp, but I haven't watched it in 5 or 6 years. So watching MC okay, it's time to do this. Does it literally sprints up 9 feet or something? It was the most insane
Crazy
thing I have seen in a challenge, where that raw display of power, I don't see how anybody could be thinking about moving on in a pre-merge situation without that woman on her team. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting MC just based on that crazy feat of heroic strength. What is it called? Herculean strength. She's got the 3 spot for me.
Also, she was the only one we saw strategy from last week, because they talked about potentially wanting to boot Sophie, and then she's the one who immediately went over and said, "Hey, Sophie, guess what they're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
We should go." And that just felt important to the story that we're watching.
Yeah, because they're not losing right now, so it doesn't really matter. So you're only showing it because there's something later. It could be her demise also. You never know. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's obviously important to note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Did I do my 3? I did not. Okay. I have to do my 3 first. I actually am going to go with, I have to look. I have Christina at 3, because the thing with Christina is we didn't hear from her last week. Nobody seems bothered by the fact that she's sitting out of challenges. Nobody's saying Christina's name. Even though we didn't hear much from her in the first episode, we did hear her talking about how happy she was, that it was going to be or not happy. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. She's talking about, I'm scared of birds or whatever it is, but nobody seemed to be too overly concerned about the fact that she was
there was no birds. There was no Courtney Yates going, "You came on Survivor and you don't like birds." So it's she's going to be fine. And then she got to sit out. You get to sit out 1 every 2 challenges. You're fine.
Yeah, I have her a little lower because I feel like I never like it when we barely hear from somebody, I don't know. And I know she did have the bird thing in the premiere, but that feels like a little fluff. And we haven't heard her say anything strategically. I don't know anything about her relationships or her POV on the tribe dynamic. So to me, she's a little further down for me.
This is where my power rankings become weird, because it goes from, do I think Christina can win? No, she's officially got no shot, because there hasn't been a winner with 0 confessionals since Erica, right? So I think they cleaned that up. Christina's done. So does she have the 3rd best chance? No, but in terms of we've seen nothing, I just feel like Survivor's done a better job in recent seasons of giving us something from the people who are going home. So if Christina were to go this week on Hina, I would be floored. Really, I don't want to say that this is all kind of just hot air, but really I feel like all of the red and yellow tribe, it's kind of, we're just talking about them to talk about them at this point.
Yeah.
I feel good about
I think that's valid.
Yeah. All right. So you're up with your 4, Rachel.
My 4 is Rizzo. for pretty much all the same reasons that everybody else has said. I feel like, yeah, he just doesn't seem, he's such a rootable character right now that it would be just a huge 180 to just have him go home next week. I think that would be crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and so Rizzo sucks at puzzles. Now's the time to drop your puzzle game, which the link is in the description of the video, everybody. If you want to not be like Rizzo.
Yeah, we launch on Kickstarter on Tuesday. You can pre-order the game starting on Tuesday. This thing is my baby. I feel like being an entrepreneur is harder than playing Survivor, and this is the hardest thing I've ever done. So please check it out. I beg you. So yeah, I think it's very, very fun. Competitive jigsaw puzzle game. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to be obsessed with jigsaw puzzles. They're small puzzles, 30 to 50-ish pieces each. And it's like a competitive game. You're playing against other people. You're chefs in a restaurant. It's very cute, really adorable, non-AI art, Blake.
And no, that's great. Great.
No, I know. I'm giving you the shout because you said screw AI, and I'm telling you, a human being made this art. And yeah, we're really, really proud of it. So please sign up for emails.
Have you reached out to the competitive puzzling, like the quick puzzlers? Do you know about these people?
Yeah, the speed puzzling. No, I did a couple events
people.
this year. Have you competed? Like, how does your
so whenever I go to game stores, I'm playing cards, like not Magic, but one offshoot called Flesh and Blood. And when we went last time, there was 50 to 60 women there. And it was like, well, okay, what's going on? Something's off. And they all had puzzle bags and were doing speed puzzles. And it was like, I think they put 1,000-piece puzzle together in 32 minutes. And you're just like,
crazy.
I could never do that. But they're all doing the same puzzle. And it seems like that your puzzle could be at the national puzzling thing, be like a side project or something for them.
Yeah, we really, I think speed puzzlers will enjoy this game, and not so much because they'll whip through this game, right? Because these puzzles are pretty small, but they are double-sided pieces, which is pretty unique in puzzling. And then I think that the one thing that's cool about a puzzle game is that knowing the puzzle only makes you more competitive, not it doesn't feel like the same as when you've done a puzzle and then you're like, well, I don't want to ever do it again. It's definitely like, oh no, I like this one, I'm good at this one, and I think that I'll be very curious to see how speed puzzlers do. Obviously, we've made them hard enough that they're manageable and fun for the average puzzler, and so I wonder if it'll be a little too easy for speed puzzlers, but I'm excited to find out because speed puzzles are crazy. Like, I went to a couple of these tournaments, and people think I'm good at puzzles, but speed puzzling is a sport. It's a different thing. It's a sport that requires extended focus, which I do not have. So yeah, very cool.
We have a very important question in the chat. This is from somebody you might have heard of, Sophie Polarity. She says, can people who are horribly bad at puzzles and embarrass themselves on TV still enjoy the puzzle?
Yes, Sophie, of course you can. I would be happy to do that with you. Yes. No, that's the best thing. I have a lot of people have played the game who are like, I don't really like puzzles that much, but this feels different because it's not this overwhelming thing. And you kind of get these dopamine hits repeatedly as you finish these little puzzles. So I think it's great for everyone. There's also a handicap system in the rules if you really are struggling against the people you're playing with.
Love that. Love that. All right. Well, the link is in the description for this video. So if you want to click it, you're welcome. Yes. All right. I'm going to say that I have Savannah at 4. The reason why I put Christina at 3 and why I had no explanation for why I had Christina at 3 and why I was so confused is because I made fun of Blake for going Rizzo, Savannah, Alex. And then I said, oh crap, my top 3 are Rizzo, Savannah, Alex. So I need to put somebody else in the top 3. So I put Christina there. Clearly had no rhyme or reason to that while I was trying to explain, but I'm putting Savannah at number 4. Because again, we already talked about it, but everything's going through her right now. I still think that Shannon is about to get stabbed in the back by Savannah. I keep saying that.
Wait, tell me more about that, because spoiler alert, Shannon's my next one.
Oh, okay. So here, let me explain to you why you have Shannon too high. I think that first episode, their relationship was built on the flimsiest stuff that relationships in Survivor can be built on, right? It just felt like it was, I don't like this Yogi stuff, but I'm going to say that I like Shannon and I should work with Shannon because we both are playing the game and we're both competitive or whatever. But then Shannon had the weird scene last week. Not even weird, but she had the scene last week with the hermit crab. And I could see like the little things week after week after week of too much kumbaya or just too much. Like, I don't understand where you're coming from. I don't think Savannah is going to put up with that when she's connecting so well with other people on her tribe. And I think Rizzo, I think Rizzo she connects well with. I think Nate she connects well with. And honestly, I think that confessional about Jawan last week is a sign that Jawan might be back in. Jawan's edit has made 0 sense this season. He's in the alliance. He's going to search for the 4th. Now he's out of the alliance because he couldn't start fire and Savannah said bad things. Now Savannah kind of likes him a little bit more because he goes and he chooses the tribe disadvantage. I don't know. I just feel like Shannon could just be, it didn't feel like it was an authentic reason for that relationship to start. And I just
interesting.
don't think that's going to work.
And in the context of us talking about, you don't want to see somebody that you don't know go home. We do know something about Shannon. And so that's interesting. Interesting take. But my 5th is Shannon.
Okay, you do it anyway.
Because I just believe that even if Uli goes to tribal, that it will not be someone in that 4 alliance that is leaving us. I have to believe when there's 2 other people that feel very much on the outs that that even if she is the bottom of the 4, she's not in trouble yet.
How could Sage possibly be on the outs?
I love Sage. She was our alternate.
I can't. What? Yeah. So you could have been on the season with like the poop conversation. So I have to ask you, how would you react to that? So far, that's all we've heard from her, and I know that the island.
I know it's been a very interesting edit. Like I don't actually look. Sage was our alternate. I have texted her a couple times. Like I do not know her very well. So I just want to preface by saying like I don't actually know if this is like, does Sage actually talk about bodily functions exclusively like all the time? I don't know. Like I don't know that about her. So I don't think so. But I think it's like a pretty brutal edit. And I'm not sure why everything she says has to do with like peeing or pooping. But it hasn't been great. It's not a great thing. It reminds me of like when they showed Kendra that one episode where all she did was like burp the whole episode. And then she was like gone like within a couple days, like it's just, it's not a good sign if your character story is something that's like kind of embarrassing and also just has nothing to do with the game.
And like 9-year-old me would have loved Sage. Like, this girl's.
I mean, I'm all for like some like potty humor. I'm not above it at all. But I think if that's all that we're seeing, it's not a good sign.
It doesn't make sense with this season because so far this season has been shown like the players have been shown to either be gamers or be bonding over whatever, and then they just cut the Sage saying the most random thing that you've ever heard, the Easter Bunny thing.
I had to pee off a boat 3 times.
Yeah.
What? We did get the confessional. I don't remember who it was from. I think it was from Shannon, who was like, I love Sage. She's like our comedic relief. And so I wonder, like, that felt genuine to me. It felt like, and entertainment value goes a long way out there.
Yeah.
Like having interesting things to talk about, kind of crazy, even if they're dumb, like stories, like you're just have a lot of time to pass. And so that shouldn't be under undercredited. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Because when you're passing time with everybody, are you doing power rankings of the other tribes when you're like, oh, blue went home tonight, so we think Bella, or that's not even the right tribe for you guys, but like, are you guys like, oh, Tiana's gonna go home first if they lose?
Oh yeah, you're definitely, especially if we know who lost the challenge, we're always speculating. It's got to be this person. What about this? Like, this feels like these people. There's so much of that, and it's all baseless, because we know so little. But
exactly like you're on a podcast. At
it's almost like when you're doing a preseason podcast, and
maybe I would be good on Survivor then.
Thank you, Rachel, for convincing Blake to apply and make an ass out of himself. We appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Blake, who do you have at 4 and 5? Rachel's up through 5. Who's your 4 and 5?
4, I'm gonna put Sophie B because she's in the chat and wanted to shout. I definitely think Sophie B is everything I thought so far in the like she seemed like she's gonna be a great talker. She probably should have been like, is she as strong as Annie or is she as strong as Nicole? Well, that doesn't matter because she's talking her way to the inner circle. And it feels like, yes, Jake is probably snaked out, but Sophie will have the ability of, if there is a swap or who's going to be a better talker with Alex. I actually not a big fan of Alex. That's why I didn't put him up here or whatever. So I think she's going to be able to talk her way into the winning position with Alex over Jeremiah.
Cool. And next, 5.
Oh, next at 5, I have Shannon here. So it's kind of this. No, I haven't said Rizzo yet. I'm getting confused because I got to do this one. Rizzo is a rootable person that didn't have a big thing last time, but literally nobody has said something negative about him yet. So he's moving on.
My thing with Sophie B is I can't put her high on a tribe where there's only 3 people and one of them.
I agree.
3 people and one of them has an idol. So, Blake, you got to not look at the chat every time. Not every time, but it's like
I have a lot of faith in Sophie, but I feel like the same exact way where it's like you can't. If we assume that they're going to tribal after Jake's medevac, like you cannot have the 3 people on that tribe except for Alex because of the idol like very high at all. Because who knows? Anything could happen.
Yeah. It's her, Jeremiah at that point.
Or Jeremiah could play a shot in the dark or, like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of like, compared to a lot of these other people where I'm like, their tribe is probably not going to tribal. And even if they do, they're probably not going home. Yeah. I have her quite a bit lower.
Yeah.
Okay. It's my first time around, guys.
I have, Blake's learning. I have Steven at 5, MC at 6. So I know you both have already mentioned, not both of them, but Rachel, you had Steven at 2. Blake, you had MC at 3. I'm putting them both here because even though I had Christina higher, like I said, there was no rhyme or reason. I just had to not make myself look like Blake. But then with these 2, I know Steven for sure. But we got him, and I think whatever his paranoia is going to happen later. My thing with MC is to hear nothing from her in episode number 1, and then in episode number 2, she comes out and it's immediately, oh, she's gaming. She is playing. She is going over and trying to make a different alliance. And I do feel like we could end up in a situation where Steven gets blindsided the first time Hina goes to tribal, but he's not the one who goes home. And instead it's Matt, who he has built a good relationship with, a strong relationship with, but everybody else is saying, I don't trust this guy at all. And I could see the other 4 very willingly voting Matt out because why not? That's somebody, if you can all get on board with it. And MC, when she went back and told Sophie everything that was going on, Sophie said, I don't like this. What is going on? And we haven't heard anything from Jason, but that could be a group and that could happen.
Yeah. So you're thinking it would be Jason. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the list. Jason, Sophie, MC, and Christina blindside Matt and Steven.
Yeah, but blindside Matt specifically. Right, I feel like Steven, I feel more confident.
Vote him out. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I had MC at 6 as well for what it's worth.
Okay. So. Anything to add on MC?
That's actually a great spot. Great spot.
There last week too.
She's so strong.
I don't have too much to add other than my only hesitation with this is were we shown MC going to Sophie because it ultimately backfires. Because the problem with 6-person tribes is if, for instance, Christina is not willing to flip, now MC has a problem because she has to tell someone like Christina if she wants to go after Matt, they need 4. And if Christina's not on board, now it's 3-3, but also could just put MC on the bottom for trying to flip on the alliance of 4. So it's just a little bit risky, but I still have her at 6.
I feel like Christina, I could see being very easily swayed by that side, though, if MC, Sophie, and Jason were to come to her and say, do you want to make a 4? One of the biggest mistakes we saw last week was Matt saying, oh, we already have this group of 3.
Yeah. When I rewatched it, I was like, God, that was such a bad way to phrase it. We have 3. We're looking for a 4th. We're like interviewing for our 4th person. It's like, of course, MC is going to say, I'm at the bottom of this 4.
Yeah. Like what situation does that work for? That's not even like, we're going to go get ice cream. It'd be like,
just someone
you guys already picked the ice cream flavor I have to eat or something. Like I'd be mad at that.
Yeah. And I feel like I could see them saying to Christina, look, Matt and Steven are really close because we've seen that now in 2 episodes. And I could see them saying, you're the third there. And it's very clear. Come to our side. It's you, me, and Sophie. We're going to run this because I don't know where Jason is. So I'm just going to say, we'll use Jason for puzzles. We'll get rid of Jason eventually. But this is what we're going to do. Again, most of this probably not going to come to fruition. We might not even see Hina go to a tribal council as the Hina tribe, but we'll see. So we all have MC. We all have high hopes for MC. Blake, are you going Shannon at 6 then?
This is where I'll dump Alex. Okay, I can't. If I'm paying attention to how this stuff works, Alex is super strong because he has an idol. He's not going home in this specific episode, and this is what matters. So, Alex, you're one of my favorites this season. Great job. Keep it up. No, I think he's somebody that, how is he going to bounce back from, I had this guy like me so much, he basically put me as his best man if he got another wedding, and now he's gone. I think it will be, what do we get confessional-wise from him? Is he saying something, I'm excited for this challenge, or is he immediately negative? I think that'll be a big signpost for how far he goes in this season.
Yeah, I think that this week's not the one to be concerned. I hope he's able to keep his idol, though. If he keeps his idol, it's a very interesting, because I'm assuming that if this happens, we're going to get a full swap next week. We won't get the Malcolm Denise thing of one go here, one go there. I think we'll get a full tribe swap next week at Final 14, where we'll get maybe two tribes of 7. Wouldn't that be a crazy concept? We haven't seen that in forever. If not, yeah, I don't know how we would do that. We haven't seen that in forever, but if we do get a tribe swap at 14 and Alex still has his idol, he can actually do some damage, and that's exciting. So I'm not worried for him here. But what I almost feel like the more important question coming out of this episode is, will he leave the episode with his idol or will he not? Not will he go home or will he not? Because if he still has that idol, Alex could be the winner of the season and Blake just can't pick anything.
Oh my God.
Joe's a 97% chance. Rachel's going pre-merge. Alex sucks. That's it. Blake can't pick.
What's the funniest reason why they can't do 2 tribes? Is it like the main cameramen of each beach like are all former lovers and they can't be into 2 beaches because one will get jealous of the other? Or is it one of those like the wolf can't be left with the sheep unless there's a hunter with the gun or whatever, that age-old puzzle of walk across the water?
I don't get it, because I think I think the internet reasoning, what I remember reading was like, oh, well, with the new restrictions on like, touching and all this stuff, like 2 tribes of 10 are too big. But then you get down to say 14, 2 tribes of 7. Also, when we get to Mergatory, there's like 13 people on the beach. So like, that cannot be the reason. So it just, I don't know why.
It's also, like, what is that internet reasoning of, because there's more of you on the tribe, you just have to touch each other? Like, there's no way you can.
Well, I think they think that there's like not enough producers to enough people. I'm like, we're not like kindergartners. Like, we're, like it's
Yeah.
I substituted middle school PE on Friday.
Oh my God.
You guys are not middle schoolers. Like that was two adults to like, maybe it was 3 adults to like 84 kids. I was like, God, this is a disaster.
Welcome to that life now, Blake. Yeah. So we've all gone through 6. So Rachel, who do you have at 7?
I have Christina.
Okay.
So
you have a better reason than me?
No, because I don't know anything about her. I just feel like mostly I have basically all the Hinas very high up because I do not feel like they're going to tribal. So that's my only real reasoning. And then I have, I guess we'll talk about some of the other Hinas that I have lower, but it just feels like we don't know anything about them because we don't need to yet.
So let's give our shout out to something positive for Christina. She was screaming her lungs out on that bench. She was like the ultimate cheerleader on the sideline. Now, this is going to sound like a ridiculous question, but I have no idea what else to ask about Christina. So I'm going to ask you this, Rachel. If you have somebody who's pretty obvious sit out on your tribe over and over and over again, but they're really like kind of the moral support there, does that help you say maybe we keep them around, or does it not matter because they're not actually helping you physically in the challenge?
I don't think that is, I don't think that's a determining factor either way. I think it depends on your individual relationship with her. We've seen time and time again that, a weaker player gets through because they actually have better connections and people like them more. And as much as, these challenges are physical, at the end of the day, like, it comes down to the freaking puzzle. Like, Kayla was the first person in the puzzle and they still lost the challenge. Like, it doesn't, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. So I think Christina's, if Christina was overall disliked by her tribe and then also sat out every challenge, it's going to be extra bad.
Yeah.
If she's really liked, no one's going to care. So it just kind of depends on your social relationships.
I tried to give Christina more of a storyline than production has given her. It just didn't work. Christina, I'm sorry. I did my best.
We'll learn more about you, I'm sure.
I hope. Blake, who do you have at number 7?
I can also say Christina here because that is where I put 7 without all my moves so far. What I would say for Christina is we know more about the men on her tribe, and I don't think it's the most positive stuff about those men because we had imposter syndrome, misspoke, and Jason's only puzzle guy. Those are all negative. And I know more about Christina than I know about Sophie. So MC and Christina are the highest 2 people, I think, for a reason. I don't think that's a storyline. I think that's just reasoning.
Cool. My number 7, never give up on your winner picks, kids, no matter how bad it looks. I'm putting Jawan. I don't care. I'm going. Jawan, you're going to find a way through this mess. And I think what's actually going to help Jawan find his way through this mess and make him still important to the story is the fact that Blue sucks so bad. I think that that's really going to help him. And I think that him making the decision he made last week, at the end of the day, has Jawan did the stupid bag thing, which I still don't understand how he did, where he emptied the bag and put sticks in it and it wasn't his bag. And I don't understand how he did that. Stop making mistakes with Savannah. But other than that, it doesn't seem like the rest of the tribe dislikes him. It just feels like he's making kind of foolish errors. But we saw Gabler make foolish errors and win the game. So I'm not going to count him out yet because at the end of the day, him doing that stupid thing 4 days before a tribal council that you go to and somebody else making you really mad the day before or the day of a tribal, I think will weigh more. And I don't think Jawan's actually doing anything to make people that mad. He's playing a little wide-eyed and bushy-tailed here, and I think that's hurting him. So, yeah. But I have to have faith in my winner pick, so I'm putting him at 7. Stick around, man. Anyway. Dead silent after man. I just put you at
I heard it much lower, so I guess I'll talk about
Jawan is, I think, not an editor's dream, an editor's nightmare of like, how do we not put like the music behind him every time and like do because it seems like, is he in outer space? It feels like he's kind of like Andy, kind of like he's a genius, right? And you're like, I don't know until we vote if Jawan is a genius or if he's a jester. And like it's going to be a clear answer. You don't want to be wrong. What are you rooting for? It's like, well, I actually do like a lot of people on red more than I like Jawan. So I'm almost hoping like, oh yeah, Jawan does go home at like 2 tribals in or whatever. Like he's ahead of Sage. Like Sage is going to be very low here, but Jawan is not. I'm not like he's got this.
Yeah, I will just say that, I felt like I just played Survivor where you walk up to the group and everybody's talking and they just stop, dead silence. That's how I felt after saying the Jawan. That was uncomfortable. That was really, really bad. Who do you have at 8?
Well, you can't blame me. I'm really bad at connecting with others because I'm a
fighter, that's true. There's somebody in this thing. I don't know what season they were watching. Here it is. Miss Jubilee. She said, I noticed Rachel works her magic best when she's one-on-one with a person. Everyone Rachel had a one-on-one conversation with someone, she wins that person over. I'm just guessing, but am I right? What season was she watching? Because you didn't win anybody over the entire season.
Much to Blake's credit. Yeah, I'm not sure. I do feel like I had good one-on-one relationships, much better than my group relationships, and I think that is ultimately what got me votes at the end, more than like any sort of group dynamic thing. But yeah, I'm a little confused by that comment as well. But maybe Blake can tell me, am I better one-on-one?
I think what's super interesting is there's the layer of the cameras. There's the layer of the whatever. Like Brandon Donlin was awful at Survivor. I could talk to Brandon Donlin for an hour and a half. I will bring him up for the rest of my life. There's some people that are the exact opposite of that. And there's some people that have gotten on all-star seasons. When you see them in the wild at the bar for their finale, you're like, how did you get anywhere closer? Or I know why you lost your season, because I had to be around you for a couple hours and you were a little not one-on-one, but it was kind of like, that's why people didn't connect with you and vote for you to win. That is not what's happening here, obviously. But like, I think there's some stuff where if you can find something to connect with somebody, you're gonna do it. And like, some people aren't gonna do that well. And like, if I said anything, it would be very like, there's some all-star people like, was it Yao Man that day where you're like, Yao Man is super cool and one of my heroes, but what am I going to talk to him at a bar about? But like, if you see somebody at a bar for the
loudest bar of all time, and he's very soft spoken.
Yeah, so like if you see somebody at a bar for the next 10 years, Rachel, I'm sure when they ask you like, what happened here? And like, what do you have advice? You're gonna be like, thanks for the question. I here's the perfect advice. And they're gonna be like, man, I'm so glad I met Rachel. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating. I want you to be awful. Please.
Yeah. Blake was
sorry to disappoint.
He said, I'm leaving after 36 minutes if Rachel sucks. And he's here an hour and 10 minutes in. So he's
how do you remember the exact number?
Yeah, right. Rachel, who do you have at number 8?
I have Nate. So I still have him pretty high, I would say top half, right? Ish. But I still feel like he is at the bottom of that 4, in my opinion. You seem to think otherwise, Phil, but I feel like to me, Savannah, Rizzo, and Shannon seem more connected. I think you're lower on Shannon, right? So I think we probably swap a little bit in that regard. But to me, from what I'm seeing, I feel like that's a 3 that feels like all we see from Nate. Yes, he is very much like giddy. He has incorporated himself into this group of much younger people. But when you're getting that, like, I'm out of touch, I'm struggling to connect, I'm putting on a face the whole time and masking, like that, maybe that's like a hero arc of like, I overcame this huge obstacle, but also maybe it's still at the end of the day is like, well, Nate's not going around saying stuff's fire and all these kids are bonding. So, he's still kind of on the outs.
I also have him at 8 though. So I feel like he's in the
Blake 4. That had him high. Sorry.
Yeah, Blake had him at 2. I have him at 8 as well, because I think that he is in the group of 4. I just think Jawan is the 4th. I think that that's what we're being set up for. I feel like the editors.
So you think it's Jawan, not
Shannon?
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think Shannon's going to fall out and Jawan is going to stay. And I think that, I think the editors, and I think Survivor in general, Survivor on this season so far, we've seen different types of challenges. We've seen different types of advantages, the journey element. I think they're already thinking about 50. So they're looking ahead. I think the editors are also looking ahead at, man, these first 3 episodes are tough. We have a very predictable boot order. We have a medevac, it looks like. This is going to be problematic. We need to start setting the stage for blindsides and things later. And I think that Shannon, the way that they're setting this up, has the potential to be a blindside for the audience that isn't necessarily a blindside for the entire cast. Mm-hmm. And it can also be something that Savannah or Rizzo or Jawan or Nate drives, air quotes, and whoever gets that move could be the winner of the season. Now, again, I'm totally speculating because I'm trying to protect Jawan like he's my child, but it's what I'm doing. But I feel like right now where Nate is, he falls in that 4 no matter what. And I think he's playing it really well. And honestly, I like him so much more.
Oh, I like him so much. I don't want him to be in trouble. I just worry about the disconnect. Like, there's so many tribes. Like, Nate would have done fine on our tribe, but I think that there's just this specific tribe seems so young in like culturally, and it's just, that's a brutal spot to be as like a middle-aged dad.
Definitely. Blake, who do you have at 8?
This is where I will do Shannon, because I haven't said Shannon yet, I think. So yes, we've talked about her twice already. Shannon is on the red tribe, who seems like the most important people. It's Uli, I think. Uli is the most important people based on what I'm hearing from the editors, but she would be somebody that's maybe in danger, but definitely Sage would go first. Probably Jawan would go first. Mm-hmm. So they're further down for me.
Yeah. everything I'm saying, I still think Sage probably is the first boot on that tribe. I think that it's kind of one of those where you're able to, you don't have to go for the blind side yet, but you start saying, I don't know how I'm feeling, especially if Shannon's talking about liking Sage. Maybe she wants to defend Sage and goes against the rest of the group. And then that becomes
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you have at number 9? We're into the back half finally. And we all know who 16 is. We don't have that much time left here, but who do you have at number 9?
I have Sophie. I think that
which one?
Sophie Anhina. Yellow
okay.
Sophie. Gotcha. I think that if I rank MC high at 6th, that I believe that MC will not be flipped on and go home. And in the same way, I think that her protecting Sophie will also work. So that is mainly my reason. Again, I don't think Hina's going to tribal, so it's also just that. But I think that yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I have Sophie at 10. I have Jason at 9. So I put Jason ahead of Sophie. And the only reason I did that is because Sophie's name came up as a target. I still don't think she's going to go, but because her name came up as a target and Jason's didn't, I put Jason one spot higher than her. So what's really weird for me about Sophie is Sophie episode 1, I don't remember what her confessional was. She had one and I don't remember it at all.
Same.
And then episode 2, we start hearing people saying, we're going to get rid of Sophie. We're going to get rid of Sophie. We're going to get rid of Sophie. And I say, okay, well, this is problematic. This makes sense why I don't remember her confessional from episode 1. If Hina loses, she's gone. And then we immediately get the fire from her. We get MC going to her. And then we get the fire of, no way. I'm pissed. This makes me mad. I don't want this to happen. And I say, oh, okay. She's playing the game. She's there. She's ready to go. And so I do feel better about her coming into this episode. But I still have her. I think I have her as like my 4th or 5th ranked from Hina. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have her as my 5th ranked Hina because ultimately I still feel like her name came up. The 2 names that came up were Matt and Sophie, and on a tribe that's not getting a lot of screen time. If I'm hearing your name, that has to mean something.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I feel like inevitably, if and when they go to tribal, it will be Sophie versus Matt. But I just have a really hard time weighing that against people we don't know anything about, like Jason. Yeah. Like, so I don't know how to like parse that. I don't know who gets above who for what. But not hearing from Jason like that entire episode is pretty brutal.
Especially when he dominates the puzzle on a tribe that is carrying around 20 pounds of coconuts and has extra keys. He makes the comeback and gets nothing. And it's him. Like he's dominating these puzzle portions. You got nothing.
I think that's something where, not to rear my ugly head and be negative.
Oh no.
but it is kind of like, all right, like some people need a little more cooking, and like he's the alternate. Like if he is this because he doesn't have better content, or we thought it would be more animated, or we were looking for something more jubilant or something more, or he didn't say the way we wanted it, so we used other people. And I think anytime there is missing footage, it's like, do you think they didn't ask him, or it was like, oh, it wasn't as compelling, so we didn't put it in? And some of that's just like, well, that sucks.
Or it could also be, Rachel, you brought it up earlier, the tribes were probably a little bit more evenly dispersed before they brought 2 alternates to the same tribe, which I don't think we've ever seen in Survivor history. It could be that who Jason is on the tribe with maybe isn't who they would have put him on the tribe of. You know, he's an alternate to go anywhere, but maybe he is somebody who fits better with the red tribe or better with the blue tribe, or his personality would pop more with them than it does here on this tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say something to get Rachel to like, I think this is one of the most controversial things that's maybe happened in a while, but it's like, okay, we have a disaster tribe, but how much would the non-disaster tribe have been a disaster if they had kept the 2 people that didn't care about following the rules on?
Yeah.
And
no, I'm sure they would have made great TV. It had to have been so egregious that they just couldn't, in the, like, you know, good conscience, like allow them to play.
Right. Like, were they holding hands? Were they lovers
Jeff
already?
He doesn't make example of players either, which I think is why this one is so crazy, because Jeff does not make examples. Even when Melissa McNulty quit before Fiji started, he wasn't sitting there saying, this person ruined he just said, he made it like, oh, wow, hardest game ever. Somebody quit before they even got here, trying to make Fiji sound epic. It didn't work then. It doesn't work now. But, you know, everything else that he does, he'll normally brush past somebody. He really doesn't throw shade at players, stuff like maybe Rick from 23. I remember him saying, I used to ask that guy questions and answer, and I was like, all right, that's enough of you. Go to the next person. I remember him very specifically saying that interview. I'm like, poor Rick with his cowboy hat. What did he do? But he's making such an example of these two players. They did something that really pissed him off.
Well, I think and I don't know what happened, but based on what we know about breaking the rules, it's like you are there to play Survivor, and I get why people would be tempted to try and pull something during pregame, but you get your hand slapped and you stop. Like, that's the crazy part. The crazy part to me is it had to be repeated offenses, and that they just had to have believed, I guess, that there was no chance they were going to pull them both. And I mean, I'm glad they called their bluff, because I think that's being other people. Like, hypothetically, these two yellow people play and somehow they end up being the dominant alliance. Like, they get really deep in the game and everybody on their tribe is like, that's not fair. What is the point of this if none of it matters, So, yeah, but
I just hear that stuff and I'm like, bad boys for life, dude. Like, let's see those people. Like, that's some flavor that isn't in this cast. Like, not as I can't believe this, I'm never going to watch this again. But that is one of our biggest complaints, is like, we got everybody tried out for their spring awakening play in a high school in this crew. And you're like, who are the people riding motorcycles and like smoking behind the school when they were 14? Like, they're not in this cast.
Rachel,
yeah, Hina in particular is a pretty feel good tribe. What, Phil? Sorry.
Have you ridden a motorcycle? The way Blake said that was nobody who's ever been in a play could ever ride
a motorcycle before.
Yeah, Jeez. Exactly. And I think Blake would probably say you've never been on a motorcycle. No, I just need to bring this up here.
Michigan girls get on motorcycles, okay?
I don't know if I've actually ever been on a motorcycle in Michigan. But thanks, Blake. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Yes. The first one ever.
Blake, I don't even know where we are. What are you? Who do you have
on Survivor Blake? 64? We are on Blake Talks for a little bit, and I will say my next one up is, I haven't mentioned Christina.
Yeah, you have.
Is that
I'm mentioning Steven now.
This is your 9. So Blake's 9 is okay. Steven.
My 9 is Steven. I like Steven. I wish he didn't have the word imposter syndrome come out on the show. That is a question I have for you, Rachel, in a second as well, of like, you got on the show. You're doing well. Nothing negative has happened to you yet. Why are you doubting? What is like, I think this is one of those like TikToks where you're like, that made me feel better, but it's never going to sink in for me, is like, if you worry about something in the future, you're going to think about it twice or something. And it's like, worry about it when it gets to you. Worry about going home whenever it's tribal council. Yes, think ahead and plan, but like, you're not going home. Nobody hates you today. Everybody's not talking about it behind your back, Steven. Just enjoy the first 5 days in Fiji.
I think that as a player, and look, I did this all wrong on my season, so I'm not the person to be talking to about this, because I did the opposite thing where I was like, yeah, everybody's telling me everything's fine, and therefore everything is fine. And I wasn't overanalyzing it, because I came into the game thinking I was going to be like Steven. I have anxiety. I felt like I was going to be like hyper overthinking. And so I pushed that part of me in the opposite direction too far, and was like, if people are looking at me in the eyes and telling me that we're solid and it makes sense to me from like a step back, why worry about it? And I was wrong. So I think that the thing that nobody can grasp as people that haven't played Survivor is that it can also feel too easy. Like, there's just like, if Steven is truly connecting with all of these people and they all really like him, that's great. But from his perspective, he's like, everyone I talk to is like, I love you and I want to work with you. And they could easily be playing him. And so I think it's easy to kind of get yourself in that loop. And that's the crazy hard part about Survivor, is that you don't actually know if they're with you or they're against you until you go to tribal. And so like, as a winning tribe, you kind of spin and spin. And like, that's a lot also of like the Annika blindside was, we hadn't been to tribal in 10 days. You don't get to try out these lines. We have no idea that like Andy is doing all this stuff behind the scenes. There just is, it's an impossible game. Like, that's why it's so difficult, because you just, even when it's all going right, you can be second guessing that everyone's just bullshitting you.
And I think also what people sometimes miss is, when you lose technology, especially now, it's so much different than when you lost technology in 2000 or 2001 or even 2015. Like, it's so much different. And I think so often a lot of the people who are getting on Survivor are those type A, always doing something minds. And like, I'm the type of person, I check my emails all the time. I have my phone on mute, but you better believe I'm looking and checking to see if anybody texted. Like, you kind of have that thing where you're not putting stress on yourself, but you're constantly thinking, okay, my mind is kind of at rest right now. What could I think about, or what could I do?
What is my to-do list?
And then you get to be Steven, and you get on the island, and you're that guy who's a rocket scientist and does all these different things, and you're thinking. And all of a sudden things do start going well for you. And you start to say, okay, what else is on my to-do list? And there is no to-do list, and you can't grab your phone, and you can't look at your emails, and you can't do this. And so you start saying, oh man, I haven't had to sit with myself like this for a long time. Now what do I do? And it starts to be that spiral. And I do think that's something that plays on people. Like, I think that, I mean, I don't know if that's what happened with Andy, but that could be part of it too with Andy, where when you start to have self-doubt, it's very easy to just be like, hey, let me like call somebody, let me text somebody, let me do something that's going to make me feel better.
And then if you're in that state out there, and this is not even specifically Andy, but you're in that state and you're looking for reassurance, and you're going to these people that you don't know if you can trust or not for reassurance. And then you're like, oh my God, am I bothering them? Am I, and so it's just this loop. It's this endless loop that you can get in that is really difficult. It's like a hard thing to let go of. And so, and it goes either way. Either way, too far on the spectrum, and you are like, you could be potentially screwing yourself. So it's a tough thing.
And I feel like we got the 2020 vision where how did Annie go home so easily? Like, everyone lied to her and she was so confident. It's like, I can't do that. And then also be like, why is Steven doing imposter syndrome? But it is, it does feel like that's the negative version for both of those, instead of Annie figures out she is on the bottom, and Steven does have the confidence to go, no, I'm running this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we know someone like Savannah is running this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Rachel, who do you have at 10?
I have Matt. I think I have Matt and Sophie back to back. I think that they're obviously both sort of seemingly targeting each other. It's hard to tell on this tribe that, isn't going to tribal, but yeah, I don't have too much to add from what you said about Sophie and Matt last time.
Yeah, and so you have Jason as your bottom person from that tribe. I have Matt as my bottom person from that tribe. Blake hasn't said Jason or Matt yet, so we'll see where he goes there. I'm just worried for Matt. I am worried for Matt because of that, how quickly it turned. And episode 1, I thought he had such a good episode. And then episode 2, I said, oh no, has he undone everything without even realizing it? That one line, everything he worked so hard for with not fighting for the fire, to then turn around and say, you want to be our 4? That worked.
And maybe this is also just revisionist history in my own head, but it's like, if you're not losing challenges and you have a solid 4, you just like let it be like, oh, and we'll decide between Sophie and Jason later. We'll decide. There's no reason to throw a specific name out. Like, there just isn't. And I think that you never know what one person has some kind of connection with that person. And now they're questioning, and they have days to ruminate on like whether they're more with you or that person. And I think it's just, I think that's probably sound advice, but I don't know.
You did win. So everybody listen. Blake, who do you have at number 10?
Who do I have at number 10?
Blake has no idea. Blake's got so many crossouts over there. He has no idea where
you said. You missed his face when you said you haven't said this person yet, and he was like, huh?
Yeah. Okay, we'll get Jawan finally threed out by all of us. Jawan is, I thought that was a very good episode for Jawan, as much as I was not understanding why we're using him to say the horror movie stuff. That felt like a very half-baked idea from the editors. Like, is that going to pay off? But it was, Jawan has the decision. Jawan makes the correct decision. Jawan is going up in his, like, it was one of those, like, literally a video game text thing of everyone liked Jawan's decision and will get benefits from this. And you're like, okay, that's Dora the Explorer, because there are 8-year-olds that watch this stuff.
But he swiped. He swiped Savannah's bag.
He did. Oh my gosh, that's the same
Blake,
episode too.
Yeah, you got to get that right, man. Come on.
All right, Jawan's last.
Yeah. Also, you said you're 3ing this out. Rachel has not said Jawan yet.
Oh, perfect. I
haven't.
Yeah.
I'm really paying attention here. Jawan, I think, is a person who is going to. I say this in a different way. I'm an analogy guy. Whenever you're 65, you can't be like 300 pounds because when you have a heart attack, you're gone. But when you're 200 pounds as a 60-year-old, you could have a heart attack and survive. I think Jawan is a survivor player that can have a heart attack scare and survive it because of the pedigree of like he loves the show and he is a smart person. So I'm expecting him to be in a trouble situation and get himself out of it. That's why he's not at the very bottom for me.
I like that. I don't know if the analogy totally works.
I was just going to say, I don't think I'm down for Blake's analogy.
So that's not an analogy. I'm not really good at anything, but I'm doing my best.
You're good at trying to get self-pity. That's good. You're good at that. That was, I don't know.
Is that a good way to win Survivors, to have everybody feel bad for you for 30 days?
Yeah, that totally works for everyone. That worked for Spencer for sure. All right. So poor Jawan's having a heart attack, but he's surviving, whereas Jake not. All right. I don't even know. Rachel, you go 11. You do 11.
I have Sophie B. I feel pretty confident that Sophie will get through this next tribal, even if Blue loses the challenge on top of losing Jake. But just by nature of when you have 3 to choose from, anything can happen. I had to rank her pretty low here.
I have her at 11 as well. She had this comment earlier. Please don't appease me. I fully expect to be ranked low after this episode. Blake put her at 4. I also have her here.
I already made my list before I knew you were in the chat, Sophie B. Don't worry.
I just feel like, look, I am confident that if Jake goes, Jeremiah will be the boot. I am like 95% confident that will be how this works out based on what we've seen from Sophie B, based on Sophie B, Jake, and Alex having their relationship, based on the fact that Jake keeps saying, I have 2 number 1s. Well, if Jake does get pulled from the game, what better way to carry on Jake's legacy than to play together, right? Do it for Jake. I don't know. I just feel like Sophie.
I also just feel like we've had so much strategy we've had so much of her BOV, and I don't feel like that's like showing someone as well-positioned, intelligent, and like playing hard. It just for her to go home in this kind of like wild way next to her number 1 would be just, that would be very tragic.
and like, let's look at it from a confessional standpoint. Sophie with 13, Jeremiah with 9. Jeremiah still has quite a bit there, but Sophie's beaten him in both episodes. Sophie has more confessionals than Savannah and Jawan at this point. So do you feel like it feels like Sophie's tribe, even though Alex and Jacob are co-leads.
I agree. I think Edgic right now has Sophie B winning.
Yeah, does it?
I think so.
Okay. I think one thing I want to introduce to the specialist sphere is we got to say Sophie B and then something else. So it's like a word play of Sophie B tripping, Sophie B in a bad spot. Sophie, instead of Sophie it's Sophie B, one of my favorites this season. Like
Sophie be alive next week.
Sophie be alive. Jake not be. Yeah.
Jake not. I like how Jake became caveman there. Jake not be. Nice. Look, Sophie B, the Edgic winner and wrong again, just like Joe, is maybe where we're going here. But I don't know. I think Sophie definitely has a chance. I just love look, Rachel. I don't know how much. It seems like you pay attention to Edgic quite a bit. Edgic is.
I just the Reddit highlights. Not too.
They were pretty off last season. I don't know when they got.
They were off until somehow miraculously our season got spoiled. So, and then all of a sudden they were so right. So
I don't. What do you mean your season never got spoiled?
Yeah, never. Not by
anyone. Were they on Team
Not
Genevieve,
by anyone that's ever been on the specialist.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know we did have Gordon on a couple last season. That's what it was, right? That's who you're referencing.
Yep. Anyway, totally.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Anyway, number 11, Blake. Who you got?
Up next for me is Jason. I think Jason has nothing, but it's not negative nothing. So I think he's ahead of Matt in the thought process. Because like I'll go ahead and do a twofer here because I'm doing Jason here. Matt is basically my person who's most in trouble after Jake. Of like he's going home. My thought process for you, Rachel, you were on a Tribe of Yellow. Somebody went home first, so we could slot in Matt pretty easily. If you had Matt on your tribe as your older man instead of John Lovett, do you think Matt would have had a better chance, or you guys probably would have I know you literally lived with those other people and love them and are going to have them be part of your life for the rest of your life. But if Matt was on the beach instead of John Lovett, how would that have worked?
I don't know. That's such a hypothetical. I think the only thing I'll say is that, like, despite what the show may make you think, I don't think John Lovett like went home because he was like a little bit older. Like, John Lovett is the same age as my husband. Like, it is not, he's not like 55, 60 years old with like 3 kids, you know, like there was not this like giant gap. Yeah, the girls were talking about TikTok. I'm also not freaking on TikTok. Like, you know, I don't think it was as big of a factor as maybe the edit led us to believe. I think that's an impossible situation to guess, but I think that Matt seems on the whole pretty good. I think that maybe he's just, I think throwing out names, like I said, like saying like it should be Sophie instead of Jason. Like, I don't know that that was necessary. And I think that when it's this early, things like that can really bite you in the butt. Cause like clearly MC had a relationship with Sophie better than she has one with Matt. And she probably would have gone along with the other one if he hadn't like targeted her this early when there's no reason to, you know? So,
I'm just trying to figure out what tribe could Matt be on where it wouldn't be like, this is the older weird guy.
Well,
this part. I don't feel like he's come across as weird, though.
I don't either.
I just think he made a mistake and he doesn't realize. I think he's almost too honest.
Hater squad, just me.
You know? What is it? Papa Roach, weaknesses that I care too much? I think that's Matt, man. I think he just cares too much. He's too nice of a guy. You're welcome.
Not you going, which one is it? The one I have memorized from 4th grade.
He has 2 songs, doesn't he? I don't need to do Cut My Life Into Pieces. We don't need to go there. So anyway, yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that
I feel like they'd keep Jason over Matt currently based on, that person's going to be so mad that Matt othered them. It's time for Matt to go first.
Look, I know that in the Survivor community, we try to find reasons for why people go home. Women go home at a higher rate than men. Older people go home at a higher rate than others. People of certain backgrounds go home at a higher rate than others. I get that. Sometimes, though, while it's not always, sometimes in those instances, the person who is going home put themselves in the position to go home. And I do think with Matt's slip up here, he's not going home because he's the older guy.
Exactly.
He would be going home because he made a mistake. And that does happen in these situations where somebody fits into that data point where you say, oh, well, of course they went home because they were. If you watch this season and you say Annie and Matt, if Matt were to go home next, Annie and Matt are 2 of the first 3 boots, you'd say, well, of course, they're the older people. They didn't really go home because they were the older people. Annie thought she was playing a better game than she was, and Matt made a mistake. So, yeah. Anyway, we're almost there. 12 for Rachel.
Yeah, I got to be wrong somehow, so I'll be wrong there.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow. You're never wrong otherwise. I have Jason at 12.
Okay.
For all the reasons we said. He's my last Hina. I agree that the Matt Sophie thing seems more of probably more worrisome. Like, one of them is likely the first off of Yellow, but I can't. Zero confessionals. Like, he did so much and got so little. Like, why are we not learning anything about him? Like, it just feels like Jason could be a sort of like purple pre-merge person that like out of nowhere gets a bunch of confessionals and then goes home like that. And a huge bummer because, you know, my Asian guy on puzzles, but I don't know.
Well, it does give me the kind of that Brando vibe of the editors don't know what to do with him. He's not necessarily making his tribe mad, but his tribe's winning. And then when he loses, if all of a sudden Jason gets an episode with 5 confessionals, it's bye, Jason. Yeah. Nice knowing you. Yeah, I have Shannon at 12. So I have her lower. I've already kind of said why I think she's lower. I still have Sage below her, but I just don't think that this relation. And also the other thing that's weird with Shannon is Rizzo hasn't said anything about Shannon. Jawan hasn't said anything about Shannon. Nate might have said something about Shannon, but I don't remember.
He said he felt good with her.
He did feel good with her. Okay.
To Rizzo.
So he did say that to Rizzo. So maybe there's more there than I'm being led to believe, but I just feel like Shannon at this point isn't so locked in. If Jawan can be out of the alliance because he didn't make fire and threw a half tantrum, Shannon could be out of the alliance for a reason too. And I just I don't know. I'm just looking too much at the edit probably, and I'm trying to protect Jawan, but still, I have her at 12. I still think she's safe over Sage. Blake, you're up.
My 12 is Sophie Sagretti with an E, I think. I think she's a Sophie with the, because I know nothing else about her except you got to spell her name differently. It's so weird. I know nothing about her. She looks wonderful. She's having a blast. She has no negatives. Like how is she not like, what a great day on the beach today? Like we're getting no content from her, and it's not like even in the corner of someone's eye she's waving. There's nothing going on. She didn't even tell her opinion of, do I want to go on the thing or not? There was nothing.
I do. That reminded me that it does feel like we're being told she's a potential threat, but not for any reason whatsoever. Like when they have that conversation, it's just like, Sophie could be dangerous someday. And it's like, because she's so social, because she's strategic, like give us something to, because if they were like, because she's so social, then it's like, she's probably actually in with everybody, like, so it's just, we have no understanding of like what makes her threatening to someone like Matt. So I hate that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, even back in the day, at least they would throw, reminds me of Parvati. Okay, sure. Like, I'll buy that because that's what everybody's saying, but we have nothing from why Sophie.
Not like schemey or like, anything. Nothing.
And we don't even hear anybody saying she's on the outs because she didn't say anything to us. It's just she's over there.
You know how many times I've reminded people of Parvati? If I had $1.
Oh yeah, you'd be as poor as you are now. Anyway, so where are we at then? So you had Jason with 12. So Rachel, I know also, again, you look at the highlights on Reddit, all of that. Invisible purple gets so overused. Jason was legitimately purple.
He was not in this episode.
He was not there. He did the puzzle.
Other than in the challenge.
Yeah.
Did we see him once? Did we see him once around camp? Like, no. It's crazy. I just, and that to me is a level of hiding.
We only have 90 minutes.
It's just like, in a 90-minute episode, when you're the hero that wins the challenge, like, why not anything? Not even like high-fiving him. Good job, man. Like, nothing. And that's maybe he's medevaced. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of nuts to just be just a non-entity when he seems relatively important to this tribe.
He does. Yeah. And I just feel like people overuse that purple, whatever. Genevieve was purple for 2 episodes. Genevieve wasn't purple. She didn't have a lot of confessionals, but she was there. Like, Jason was not in. He was Purple Kelly. There were episodes of Nicaragua where Purple Kelly is not in the episode. Jason was essentially that last week. That's crazy. So, all right. So who do you have at 13? We're getting down to it here.
I have Jawan, your boy Jawan. Yeah, I don't love this for him. I think that winning the tribal thing was a good thing for him, but I think to me, based on this bag thing, feels like Jawan might be someone that's harder to live with, and that weighs heavily on you when you're out there. People that are not considerate, that are not thinking things through, like, I don't know how you take someone else's bag and not realize it's yours when you open it up and start shoving sticks in it. Like, you should see immediately. What?
Can you try to explain that? Because you've been there. So there's a disconnect for an audience. Like, how are your bags differentiated?
All the bags are identical, right? But each strap has your initials on it. So first off, why are you ever grabbing a bag without checking the strap and seeing if it's yours? And even if you do, the second he had it wide open so he could just shove sticks in it. The second you open it, your shit's not in there. Like, it's not yours, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Also, the fact that he would do that even with his own bag without emptying it out is crazy. So, like, I just think that he seems like someone that's probably like a little bit physically aloof and is not, it's not doing it to be harmful. Clearly, it was a total accident. We saw that from his perspective. But at the end of the day, that stuff really adds up. And it can really, especially if you're already sort of on the outs, they're deciding whether you're the fourth in their alliance, can really push you away. And I still have Sage lower, but I feel like Jawan is not in a good spot here.
I'll protect Jawan and get him to the final at least, but maybe he's getting kind of that Ben edit where Ben voted for Kenzie and came on this podcast after and said, dude, I don't know. I really did make a mistake. I didn't mean to vote for Kenzie. I wasn't thinking straight. And, maybe it is that kind of, maybe Jawan is being set up as maybe that Jake O'Kane, nothing's going right for you.
Yeah.
Owen, everything's falling apart. You might be the 0 vote finalist because you made mistakes early and then just like,
my Survivor game is a literal horror movie, and I never woke up.
Other thing though, act 1 of a horror movie. Maybe he's getting all the bad out now to redeem himself and be
That's
the final
fair.
girl at the end.
I will say this time in the game, we're at day like 5, 6 around there. 5 to 8, worst time. That is when your body is going, holy shit, like we are actually not eating, like we are actually like this. It is for me, it was like the hardest hill to climb because your body feels like it weighs twice as much as it should. It's hard to just like walk across camp. Like you are really, and then you get over this plateau, like day 8-ish, you're like, oh, this is it now. Like this is our new normal. And so, we saw the Blue Tribe like super disoriented at tribal, having hard time speaking. Like this is that time period. So like, I will give Juwan like a little bit of, leeway for the bag mix up, stuff like that. But it is just like, that doesn't change the impact, understanding why it happened maybe doesn't change the fact that it's, very much pissed off the person that seems to be in most control on Red.
And because Savannah is also out there starving and hungry and hot,
right.
And she's not stuffing your bag with sticks. So,
not
yet. So I think Rachel, you and I are going to have the same 14, 15, 16, maybe not in necessarily the same order, but we are going to have it because I have Matt as my 13. I don't think Hina loses. So he's my lowest member of Hina, but I still have him higher than the lowest member of Red, the lowest member of Blue, and Jake, who we're all just assuming at this point is gone based on the preview that I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast while watching football on silent, you've now seen the preview 26 times because they play it every single commercial break on CBS during football games. And it is just a man being carried in a red stretcher. So anyway, Matt at 13, which I'm bummed about because I was so high on him after episode 1 with his self-control over the fire, but now I'm worried. So we'll see. Blake, why don't you kill yours here? Why don't you go 13, 14, 15? We know you have Jake at 16. So why don't you be the first one to close it out?
At 13, we have Sage. I believe she will talk about sweating this time. 14, I have Matt. I will believe he will win a challenge, and then somebody will be like, Jeremiah is 15. He's going to laugh a bit and then realize, oh, you're not joking? Jake is really hurt. And then Jake is currently on a stretcher. So Jake is 16.
Cool. I mean, that's the reasoning I expected from you. The Matt one was better than your heart attack analogy. So
agree. Hard agree.
I also, and Rachel, I'd like to have the guest go last. I don't want it to be anticlimactic, but I also go Jeremiah at 15 and Sage at 14 because I think Blue's going to lose again. So I don't want to be anticlimactic here, but Rachel, I'll let
my
you
exact
give
order.
Reasoning. Yeah. I'll let you at least give the reasoning then. Why do you have Sage over Jeremiah?
Yeah, it kills me to put Sage at the bottom here. But it just, everything from the fact that we know her and Juwan seem like they're the ones on the outs. Or maybe Shannon, I get that. I understand that theory too, but that only bodes even worse for Sage if like they're deciding between the other two people and she is not being considered. And I think that there is a little bit of hope there for me from the Shannon saying, Sage is the entertainment. Like I like her a lot. But I think if they were to go to tribal, she would definitely be in trouble. And if not go home, be one of the two that we're assuming, we're deciding between. Jeremiah, it sucks because I don't think Jeremiah's done much wrong here. But when you're on a tribe that just gets decimated and probably has a medevac, like that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I think that as we've talked kind of extensively about, Sophie B and Alex are probably the ones that will stick together. And I think Jeremiah's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I literally agree with every single thing. There's nothing else there. Jeremiah hasn't done anything wrong. Can you survive long enough with the disaster tribe? And Jeff had the line in tribal council last week where he said, you're losing, but in survivor history, normally these tribes do well. I know Jeff at Tribal, not everything is there for a reason, but to me that could also be in there purposefully of, and he said it directly to Sophie B. Now, granted, he might have said it to other players. They chose to air the part of him saying it to Sophie B. I don't know. Maybe that means something. Edgic thinks so. Maybe it means something. Who was Edgic on your season before it may or may not have been spoiled?
Oh, that's a good question. Pre-merge, I feel like Sue was very high up. And I think it was Sue pre-merge, and then right before, I think there was a lot of like hype for actually, I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't remember now.
I don't know. I feel like I kept saying
I guess
you
right at merge is when it was spoiled. So at that point, it just became kind
Yeah.
of like this. I think it was like sort of between Genevieve and I, but Genevieve having that 0 vote episode had taken her out for a lot of people. So yeah. Sam was high up because he got so many confessionals.
He's the glue guy.
All right, well, Rachel, last question for you, because I can officially say today that I've lied to a Survivor winner, because she said this is like an hour, right? And here we are, an hour and 15 minutes in. So last question for you, I promise. Who's your winner pick for the season?
Ooh, good question. I think after these couple episodes, I feel pretty high on Sophie B. I do like and I'm not just saying it because she's in the chat. I do like all the things that you've pointed out. And I just think we're getting so much strategy from her. Because even if you think about how like Jake is obviously kind of the main character on that tribe, but we just get a lot from him. We don't get a lot of strategy from him. And I think that like the strategic focal point of like, red is Savannah and blue is Sophie B, and like yellow seems like it's like maybe MC or Steven. Like it's kind of up in the air there, but I just feel like those are the people to kind of pay attention to, and things can change. Like I was not the strategic center point of Gata in the pre-merge, so you don't know, but I think as far as what we know now, that to me, I think it bodes well for her.
Yeah, I can see it for sure. That's 2 winner picks now. Mitch went Rizzo last week. You're going Sophie B here. I think those are both very fair picks coming out of episode 2 for sure. So hopefully
my last question for Rachel Rudy.
Oh, go ahead.
Will there be a bigger? How many people will make a bigger move than the snake did of getting out somebody this influential?
Is this a prop bet? Is this in here?
Yeah, let's do it.
4.
Oh,
that's high, huh? That's pretty high.
I mean, after watching 48, yeah, that's high. But no shade, 48. Sorry,
because we know the thing we hear from Jeff is this season starts out rough, but wait for the second half. So I'm hoping the roughest part is the snake, and then it's all set for a battle at merge time.
Yeah. Hey, get your weak stuff out of the way early, and people will be okay with your season. 46, I'm looking at you. People were so mad at 46.
We're still in Banu land in 46 right now.
Yeah, we were about to watch the second consecutive episode of Banu being voted out coming up, and people were not happy. So here we go. Yeah. Anyway, Rachel, it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining.
I've been so excited to do this since I first heard Blake utter my name, and I'm so glad we got together. So, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad we were able to do it. Everybody, make sure you go and check out the description and click the link. Go over there, buy Rachel's puzzle game, which goes live on Kickstarter on Tuesday, before the episode. So good timing. Otherwise, that's it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully this whole episode wasn't a waste of 2 hours and more than just Jake goes home. And we will see you all.
I didn't even think about that.
No, right? We just sat here for 2 hours on a Sunday, and actually only one person's going, and they told you who it was. Tomorrow night, Tag With will be live with Jacob Derwin at 6 p.m., I believe, Eastern time. Yes, Jacob Derwin from Ghost Island. I know that's the first time he's actually shown up on this channel, so that'll be fun. We've had most of the pre-merge now from Ghost Island on here. Bradley, Brendan, James, A lot of people from that pre-merge have been on here. So Jacob Derwin tomorrow with Tag With, and then Will and I will be live on Wednesday night after the episode to recap episode number 3. So thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you then.
See ya.